Have you ever had the experience when you're reading or listening to something and a word or phrase suddenly comes to mind? Not words that you've just heard or read, instead a deeply felt response to them. You pause for a moment to think or utter a quiet "oh" to yourself. Then you resume what you are doing. Sometimes that reaction fades away, or maybe it finds a place in your memory bank. Sometimes, though, that word or phrase sticks with you. It keeps coming back to you. It just won't let go. I had that experience at the beginning of this week as I was reading through the scripture readings for today. I started with a passage from Genesis, a continuation of the story of Abraham and Sarah. We have been following this story for the past few Sundays. God's promise of a new land, that Abraham will be a blessing to generations that follow. Last week we heard about visitors, messengers from God. They told Abraham that he and his wife Sarah would have a child, a seemingly impossible idea. Sarah and Abraham were old, Sarah long past her childbearing years. Today we've jumped ahead a bit. Sarah and Abraham's son Isaac is now a toddler, playing with another child. That child is also a son of Abraham. The mother Hagar is a slave. Sarah, not wanting only part of Abraham's inheritance to go to Isaac, demands that Abraham send the slave woman and the child away. Abraham does so reluctantly, but only after God speaks to him once again. God tells him that Isaac will have his promised inheritance, but God will provide for the other son as well. God will make of him a great nation. Another promise, another line of generations with their origin in Abraham. So Abraham sends Hagar and her child away into the wilderness with only some water to sustain them. When the water runs out, Hagar despairs that her son will die. God enters the story again. God assures her about the child's future and provides them with water to survive. As I neared the end of the Genesis passage, the phrase expansiveness of God emerged and lodged itself in my mind to stay there. It was new to me. I wasn't even sure that expansiveness was an actual word. It is. I looked it up. Expansiveness of God is a theme in the Abraham story that we have heard so far. We will continue to hear about it in the weeks ahead as we hear the stories of the next 3 generations of this family. Events that were not anticipated, expectations upended, family conflict, relationships strained. Through it all, God is there, at work to guide them forward. God is expansiveness, an expansiveness wider, deeper than we can comprehend. God invites us into that expansiveness, to move out of our safe places and go places where we did not plan to go, to abandon old ways of thinking, to stretch ourselves and move toward new knowledge, new ways of living. In the gospel lesson for today, expansiveness of God, or of Jesus, is everywhere. His way of looking at things, slaves being like their masters, disciples like their teachers, Jesus demanding greater loyalty to him than to family members, taking up the cross to follow him into new places. Isn't this what Jesus always does? Call people into his expansiveness? Those first disciples, fishermen who dropped their nets to follow him, a tax collector who turns away from his money-making to join up with Jesus and go who knows where. Jesus invites them to expand their minds, their lives. We follow Jesus too. We are his disciples. His teachings shape our lives. We make commitments to love God and one another, to respect the dignity of every human being, to work together for justice and peace. In all the examples Jesus offers in today's gospel lesson, the words that stood out for me were these: nothing is covered up that will not be uncovered, and nothing secret that will not become known. What I say to you in the dark, tell in the light, and what you hear whispered, proclaim from the housetops. What has been secret will become known, coming out of darkness into light. What has been whispered will be proclaimed loudly. Words that seem especially appropriate for today, Pride Sunday, the day of Chicago's Pride Parade. Recognition and celebration of LGBTQ people has now expanded from a single day to a whole month. This period of time is an opportunity for us to learn, to understand the challenges LGBTQ persons have faced and still face. The struggle to claim an identity for themselves. Perhaps they have found a label that fits. Maybe they are still questioning who and what they are. It is a time to listen to their stories, how many of them lived in secrecy, but can now live openly as who they are, no longer in the darkness of shame, but in the light of truth. Then, in the Pride Parade, together with others, they proclaim and celebrate their identity, not from the housetops, but in the city streets. At the end of the day, the streets where the Pride Parade participants marched will be quiet again. The usual city life will have resumed, the parade a memory. Then on Friday, Pride Month will come to an end. This month is not something to be put away and forgotten. It stays with us. Hopefully, it has stretched us, drawn us out of our comfort zones, and taken us to new places of awareness and understanding, changed us. Whether we participate in events and learning opportunities of a month, week, or day that focus on a specific group of people, an extended educational program like Sacred Ground, a demonstration for justice, equality, and freedom, or something else like these, they are opportunities for us to grow, to experience a piece of the expansiveness of God and of Jesus, and to want more of it. God and Jesus are ready to welcome us into new places, ready to help us develop our own expansiveness. Their invitation is always there. We can say yes to it again and again and again.